never know what's around the corner. Sure, you've probably been given some guidance in your time as to how to prepare for these things, but it's never a bad idea to refresh your memory. We put together a list of tips that will help you out no matter what sort of predicament you found yourself in. Watching videos of laughing cats might seem like a great way to spend your time now, but it's not likely to help you out if you find yourself in an emergency. Instead, make sure you click the subscribe button and we'll make sure you're fully prepared for a long list of possibilities. Sterilize dirty water. In day-to-day society, we're used to walking no further than the tap to quench our thirst. In fact, we're so used to it that we consider it bad service if a restaurant doesn't provide free drinking water. But what would you do if you didn't have access to clean water? We can only last 3 days without drinking, but the risks associated with drinking dirty water mean we might not even last that long. If you're in a situation like a natural disaster, try and fill up your sinks, baths, and containers with water. It means that even if your water supply gets cut off, the water you've already stored should keep you going for a few days. Boiling your water is the best way to make it fit for consumption, but if this isn't an option, try adding bleach. Be careful, too much in your water won't be suitable for drinking. If your water is cloudy, let it sit for a few hours and filter it with a clean cloth. Next, take a dropper from your medicine cabinet and add 6 drops of unscented bleach per gallon of water. Stir it and let it stand for half an hour, and your water will be safe again. Survive a falling elevator. Modern technology means it's not a likely occurrence, but we've all anxiously wondered about our fate in a particularly jumpy elevator before. But what would you do if you were in an elevator that fell? The trick is to lessen the impact on landing. Your first reaction may be to jump, therefore giving you more time before you hit the floor. Don't do this. By jumping, you're putting more impact on your eventual fall. And at high speed, this means you're far more likely to exacerbate your injuries too. Another common piece of advice is to bend your knees and keep on your feet. This is also incorrect and is far more likely to damage your legs than it is to save your life. Instead, sit or lie on the floor of the elevator. Place one hand under your head to reduce the impact when you touch ground. Place the other hand in front of your face to protect if any debris falls from the ceiling. If there's something you can hold on to, try and do so. The fact that you're free falling means laying down on the floor and staying there is harder than you'd imagine. It also gives you a way to help get yourself back up when you hit the floor. Get through a tornado. If you live in an area where tornadoes are common, you'll probably have a safety plan in place already. However, tornadoes can strike at any moment, and there's no such thing as being too prepared. The greatest danger when it comes to tornadoes is flying debris, so if you can hide somewhere well protected, you'll be more likely to survive. First of all, avoid windows. You may have been told that opening the window will equalize the pressure of the tornado, but realistically, the windows will be blown off anyway. Try to find somewhere as low to the ground as possible. Think a basement or ground floor if you can make it there. Crouch down and protect the back of your head with your arms. If you're outside or in a vehicle, you need to take a different approach. Cars, or even bigger vehicles, are extremely dangerous when tornadoes strike, but if you're too close to drive away, you need to make the best of it. If you can see lower ground, take shelter there. If not, put your seatbelt on, cover your head with a blanket, and curl up below window level. Another important point here, never take shelter under a bridge. Even though they look sturdy, they offer little protection for flying debris and can make your situation even more dangerous. Find your way home. Even if you've spent your teenage years ignoring everyone who told you to wear a watch, now might be the right time to invest in one. Aside from telling the time, did you know an analog watch could also be your ticket to safety? We're all used to relying on our phones for directions, but whether you're lost with a dead battery or stranded in a worse situation, you can use your watch to find your bearings. In the northern hemisphere, hold the watch horizontally and flat in your palm. Point the hour hand in the direction of the sun. If you can't find the direct line of the sun, put a twig or something similar on the ground and trace the shadow back up to your watch. Now bisect the angle between the hour hand and the 12 o'clock to find south. The midpoint will be south and the opposite direction north. Before noon, you have to measure clockwise, and after, counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, line up the 12 o'clock mark with the hour hand, and similar to before, you'll find your direction. In contrast, the midpoint here will show you north, and the opposing angle will be south. Swim out of rip currents. There are few things in life as relaxing as going for a swim, and if you're lucky enough to live by a beach, you know this better than anyone. But sometimes the sea isn't as safe as the picturesque postcards make it out to be. Sure, lifeguards are usually there to watch out, but it's good to be prepared for all eventualities, and by that we're thinking mainly of rip currents. More common than you'd probably have thought, Rip currents usually form in sandbars and near structures like jetties, piers, or near cliffs that jut into the sea. Obviously, your first thought if you feel yourself getting stuck is to try and swim away. This won't work. Rip currents can travel up to speeds of 8 feet per second, far stronger than any Olympic swimmer. Instead, try to stay calm and conserve energy. Face the shore, shout, and try to get the attention of someone nearby. The most important thing here is to not swim forwards or backwards. Rip currents work in these directions, but don't usually have a huge surface area. Try and move parallel, and when you feel yourself escaping the pull of the rip current, swim at an angle back to the beach to make sure you don't end up stuck back again. Act fast. You might think strokes can only affect elderly people, but you'd be wrong. A stroke can hit anyone at any point in their life, and generally speaking, the person has 3 hours after it hits to get medical treatment, before any brain damage becomes irreversible. Because of that, it's important to learn the signs of a stroke and what you should do if you see someone potentially having one. The best way of remembering what to do in these circumstances is the FAST method. First, look at their face. Ask them to smile and see if both sides of their face respond. If one half is drooping or not responding, it could be the sign of a stroke. Next, arms. Ask the person to raise both of their arms above their head, similarly to the face, to see how both sides respond. If they're unable or struggling to lift one or both arms, they could be in trouble. Thirdly, speech. Talk to them. Ask them a question, or to say a simple phrase. The lack of speech is a strong indication of something going wrong. And finally, time. This is the crucial part. Ring your national emergency number, 911 in the USA, and get some help straight away. Being aware of the signs of a stroke and getting to the emergency room quickly can be the difference between life and death. Overcome an avalanche. Before you head into the snow, you'll probably have been given some basic safety precautions anyway. However, you might not have been told what to do when an avalanche happens. The crucial part of surviving is all in the first few seconds. If possible, jump up the slope. The avalanche is more often than not triggered by the victim itself, but if you can get over the fracture line, you'll make things far easier. If not, try to get to the side. The heaviest load of snow is in the center, whereas the sides have less to fall. You might even be able to get entirely out of the way by doing this. You also want your body to be protected, but lightweight. Let go of any heavy baggage, but keep your bag on your back. It'll protect your body if you end up falling. However, the heavy equipment has the potential to pull your body down. Hold on to something, and if you feel yourself falling, start swimming. It might go without saying, but swim uphill, where the snow is thinner. You can also swim on your back. It'll give you a far better chance of survival, as your face will be able to access even more oxygen. Improve your fire knowledge. On average, someone suffers a fire-based injury every half hour in the USA. Therefore, it's important to learn how to deal with fires when they strike. In order to keep alight, a fire needs fuel, oxygen, and heat. Unless you cut out one of these elements, it'll keep burning. If you find yourself in a house fire or similar situation, try and stay as low on the ground as possible. Heat rises, and so do toxic fumes that come with the fire. Keeping as low down as you can will minimize the damage that fire can cause to your lungs. If you need to travel through a smoke-filled room, cover your nose and mouth with a cloth or a piece of thick material. Similar to what they tell you on planes, breathe through the material normally, and the air will be much cleaner. Move as quickly as possible though, as the smoke-filled room will no doubt still be very dangerous. Once you're out, check everyone for oxygen deprivation. The most obvious signs of this are stumbling around and the inability to speak properly. Get medical attention as soon as possible to ensure no one has any lasting damage. Escape cracked ice. Did you know your body only has 10 minutes in freezing water before your muscles give up entirely? There's a reason why the phrase treading on thin ice is so popular, and that's because the repercussions of falling through said thin ice are incredibly dangerous. Contrary to popular belief, it's swim failure rather than hypothermia which accounts for more problems if you fall through the ice. Swim failure is what happens when your body can't cope with the cold and your muscles seize up. This usually happens between 3 and 5 minutes after you enter the water. Once you know you're falling, brace yourself for the cold water. Try not to panic and try as hard as you can to breathe normally. It can take up to 45 minutes to develop hypothermia, which means if you can get help fast, you're likely to survive. Remove heavy objects and focus on getting back out. Swim as fast as you can to the edge and keep your body horizontal. Aim to get as much of your upper body out of the water first by propelling yourself like a seal onto the ice. If you're unable to leave the water alone, cross your legs, Keep still so you're able to retain energy and attract the attention of anyone in sight. Fight back against snake venom. We can't all be superheroes in the wild, but that doesn't mean we should avoid venturing out into the world. If you're scared of snake bites, we've got a few helpful tips that can greatly improve your chance of survival. It may sound crazy, but if a snake bites you, you need to stay calm. The venom goes into your bloodstream, and if you're panicking, your heart rate will increase and pump blood faster around your body. If you can keep calm and keep a resting heart rate, the blood will pump slower and you can last longer without emergency help. In contrast to other emergency situations, do not have anything to eat or drink. It's important to keep a slow metabolism during this time, for the same purpose as keeping your heart rate low. Remove any jewelry or tight clothing, as the bitten area may swell. Try and keep as still as possible too. If the bite is on the hand, keep it at heart level to reduce the flow of venom. If the bite is on your foot or leg, raise it up horizontally. Get to the hospital as soon as possible, where anti-venom serum should counteract the effects of the bite. In just over 10 minutes, you've learned how to prepare for almost everything. With that in mind, give yourself a break and subscribe to the Hub for more helpful videos. Thanks!